beautiful thing is that we have a lot of different Grand Prix still, and I think it would be very boring if they're all the same, right? And yes, I am very aware that we shouldn't go to all the, let's say, the commercial places, but I think also Las Vegas gives you a unique opportunity, and then time will tell, if it's the right way to go or not.
What a great season it's been for that guy right there. Absolutely dominant. Red Bull Racing's Max Verstappen speaking to us earlier in the summer, Tom. Looking forward to a race which is now just around the corner.
It's still there. And, John, would you say that F1 is still large in moving off the huge success of Netflix?
Without a doubt. Big breakthrough. Big breakthrough. Although there are some indications that maybe next week's race in Vegas wasn't as popular as they hoped for it to be, given some indication that ticket prices have come down, Tom. Hotel prices come down as well.
We're going to get to this conversation, John, quickly here. I loved Brazil. It was like an old course, up and down.
Classic
loved
track.
it, loved it.
I'm pleased you enjoyed that, Tom.
Let's do this right now, and this is going to be fascinating. A first time in Las Vegas, and what you need to know is in the vicinity of Tuesday, it will be 73 degrees in Las Vegas. That doesn't matter if you run a race at 10 p.m. at night, Pacific time, 1 a.m., Eastern time, 6 a.m. in the morning in Banbury, England, and the rest of it. Christian Horner is team principal and CEO of Oracle Red Bull Racing. And John, I'm sorry, it's about tires. That's what the experts tell us.
Christian, it could well be about tires. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for being with us. I think we have to start by saying congratulations on an absolutely dominant season for you and the team. We'll spend some time talking about that in just a moment. Let's go where Tom went. Just approaching a new track you haven't had time with, you haven't raced on before, and with track temperatures that could be very, very low. Christian, what's the approach for you and the team going into an event like that one?
Take a jacket.
Is it that simple?
I was watching Max on the simulator yesterday driving around the circuit. It looks a great track. I mean, it's going to be super fast. There's going to be a lot of overtaking opportunities, and the tires, it could be like driving on ice. Which just adds another dimension. So particularly on a road course, on a street circuit, that can test the drivers and the team to the absolute maximum.
Christian, when it comes to stuff like qualifying then, how do you prepare to put that fast lap in that you try to do to get that quali in? How do you do that? What do you do? Set up with 3 laps before you go for the qualifying lap? What do you do?
Well, that's all going to come out of when we run on Friday for the first time. On Thursday for the first time, we're going to be learning, what it takes to get these Pirelli tires up to temperature, and is it going to be multiple laps in qualifying rather than a single lap? So it could be really interesting to see how that's going to play out. There's going to be a lot of data to look at, and the simulators are going to be working flat out on certainly Thursday evening.
Christian, any worries that this could just be a bit of a disaster, could end up in chaos?
Well, look, street races are always dramatic. We've seen that in Singapore, we've seen it in Azerbaijan, and of course Monte Carlo. And this one promises to be a big one. I think it's going to be one of the biggest viewed events in the sporting calendar this year. And so, I'm confident it's going to be a great success.
Christian Horner, I was appalled by the accident very early in the Brazil race. Your Perez was very much involved in that. How do you make the start of the races safer?
I don't think you can. I mean, you've got cars that will accelerate from 0 to 100 miles an hour in less than 2 seconds, and you've got 20 very competitive drivers all going, to try and make position into that first turn. So inevitably, sometimes there is going to be contact, but the safety of the cars, the safety of the circuits has increased dramatically, and thankfully we're seeing drivers walking away from what sometimes look like very nasty accidents.
Christian, you said 20 competitive drivers. Arguably there's 19, and then there's one guy on his own out in the front. I want to talk about that. The domination of Max Verstappen. He's still so young, Christian. He's taken over Alain Prost. He's basically on course to take over Vettel, maybe even in the next couple of races in terms of race wins. When you go back over the legends of this sport that you've been so close to over the years, Fangio, Senna, Schumacher, even more recently Hamilton, where does Max rank for you? What separates him from the rest?
Of course, it's always incredibly difficult to compare drivers from different generations, and but what I think is safe to say with what Max has achieved in a short period of time, with now 3 world championships, 51 or 52 Grand Prix victories, it's an incredible record, and I think that he can now be spoken about in the same sentence, in the same category as some of the greatest drivers that the sport has ever seen.
How far do you think he can go, Christian?
Well, I think he's still so young. He's still evolving as a driver, and particularly as he gains more experience. So, and a lot depends on the equipment that we can give him. But I think he can achieve a lot more. He's motivated. He's hungry, and he just loves his racing. You can see that he's not interested in anything else other than just going racing.
He's been dominant. Your whole team has been absolutely dominant. I remember Ferrari being accused of making the sport boring in the Schumacher years. Do you take it as a compliment when you hear those kind of accusations thrown at your team?
Well, it means that we're doing our job and that we're winning. But the one thing that's guaranteed in this sport is that nothing stands still. And I think with stable regulations, we can already see teams improving behind us. And I think that next year is going to converge, and we're in for a much more tight championship next year, and also 25 before another reset with new regulations for 2026. So I'm expecting a much tougher year in 2024.
Right. Christian, to that point, and I have my Autosport at home. John Ferro made me get it. I try to read it and I try to understand it. A lot of your brethren are really trying to fix their cars now for next year. What do you do when you're as strong as you've been about tweaking the platform into the next season? Do you leave it alone? Do you leave the car the same as Verstappen is known this year? Or do you actually try to make improvements?
Well, you're always looking to improve, because you can guarantee our competitors are going to be improving. They will be copying some of the philosophy of our car. That's undoubted. We're already seeing that starting to happen. And we just got to keep trying to move the goalposts, to try and keep developing and improving ourselves. And so, of course, for the last few months, the factory have been very, very focused on that. But of course, you start to get into diminishing returns. And, it's going to be tough to improve the RB20 next year significantly from where RB19 has been this year.
Take us into the pit, because to some of us, I watch Netflix and I think I'm an expert. I'm not. Christian Horner, take us into the pit stop where you're 2.3 seconds, 2.8 seconds. How do you train for that excellence versus the other teams?
Well, it's the same as in any discipline. It's all about practice. It's about analysis. It's about the small incremental things, just where the driver stops. If he's 2 inches too long, then that will affect the timing of the stop. So it's rehearsal, it's practice, it's positioning the right people in the right roles, it's having the right attitude and the determination to continually improve and, of course, be consistent.
Christian, let's talk about next year. You've got two drivers, both under contract. There is a question mark over one of them, Checo. The drivers you have in the cars in the coming weekends, are they going to be the same two next year?
The only people that keep putting the question mark are you guys. I mean, we keep repeating that Checo's going to be our driver, next year, and he's had a tough 6 weeks, but he started to refine his form. I thought the race that he drove in Sao Paulo was very strong. His race in Austin was strong, and he's finding his form again. He's second in the World Championship. He's over 30 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton with 2 races to go. So, let's see what he can do over these next couple of races, but he will be our driver alongside Max in 2024.
As a team, are you expecting Max to help him secure that second position, or does he have to do this on his own?
No, I don't think he'll need the help from Max, to be honest with you. I think he just needs to finish either ahead or just behind Lewis this weekend to secure that second position. I think we're treating these remaining races as cup finals, and that's how we've operated since winning the championship a few races ago in Qatar, and each race holds huge importance to us. And to race in Vegas, it's going to be a phenomenal thing, and we're going to be chasing our 20th victory of the year there for sure. And it's just very nice of them to have put a race on to celebrate my 50th birthday, I think, particularly in Las Vegas.
Christian, you asked for it. Happy birthday. It's fantastic to catch up with you, sir. Congratulations on an absolutely dominant season. It's just been phenomenal to see play out all year. And thank you also, Christian, to you and the team for being a fantastic partner with this programme over the last few months as well. Christian Horner there, team principal and CEO of Oracle Red Bull Racing. TK, absolutely dominant.
I wasn't like into Las Vegas in at 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. our time, with the danger of moving sideways on ice, as he said, this is not a normal race.
It's the tires can't get the grip, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see.